get to, like, talk.
And we're live. Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with the Nerdettes tonight, and we're going to play some 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. So, who's got the recap this week?
I do. Okay, last week we finally went into battle with the hags. Deneen and Kath were standing ready to go as foul sludge monsters came rolling up out of the swamp at them. At one point, Kath almost died, but she got steamrolled over by several of them, but it turns out she was alright in the end. Deneen made excellent use of haste and kicked a due amount of arse as she flitted about the battlefield, still using her daggers as has been the custom of late. We haven't seen her with a bow in her hand in a while. We also lost an Eladrin named Elsamon. We were unable to raise him because he didn't have much of a body left by the time they were done. Kenna, inside the ritual-induced vision quest, fought a reflection of the hags with a lot of weird arcane help that she hasn't quite finished sorting all the way through yet. At any rate, the hags themselves came to us physically, and we kicked their butts. They've messed with us a little, being a bit like, there were 4 hags, weren't there? And now we're questioning everything we remember, but we're pretty sure it was only 3 hags, right? Anyway, we went back to the Emerald City with the Eladrin, and are in the process of having a wonderful time as we speak, so what could possibly go wrong from here?
What indeed? So if you guys just want to introduce yourselves, and I guess you guys can start with introduce yourself and your character, start with the order you guys joined the game.
Okay, hi. I am author Megan R. Miller. You can find my books in the link in the thing down there. I will be playing Kenna Hollythorn, Halfling Bard of Valor.
Hey, I'm Jen from Pixel Scapes. My link is down there also. I'm playing Deneen, a Wood Elf Rogue and Cleric.
And I'm Jean. I'm playing Kath. She's a tiefling paladin.
Now I just want to make up a link going someplace for Eugene. Although you started writing for us, you do some writing for us now too.
I do a weekly article on the latest Critical Role episode, in which you get to pay attention to all my crazy weird theories that probably aren't going to ever be true, but I like to think that they will be.
Well,
in my heart, they're always true.
I kind of feel like that makes them more fun.
Style, not sincerity, is the thing.
So you guys had just entered the city of Emerald Spires with your host, whose name I cannot remember now. And what did I do with my notes?
I don't remember us hearing his name.
We heard the... Let's see.
I bet it's recorded somewhere.
I heard the dead guy's name. I didn't hear this guy's name.
Let's see. All right. So
have these pretty gray enameled leaf pins with silver accents.
Asindro is your host name. And he's opened up his home to you, ladies, for your stay. It is not exactly a mansion, but it's a decent sized home. And
Cinder, would it be all right if I took one of those pretty flowers from just outside?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Denise takes a flower and she puts it in her hair. There we go.
Nice. And so I believe he had invited you guys back to the city to stay for a small banquet. And
yes, while promising that there would be no shenanigans where we'd get stuck here if we ate the food or something like that.
Well, we're under his protection.
Yes, and that's why he gave you the leaves and promised that you would not have to worry about any fey packs or deals.
We don't want them turning us into more of these, cute green dogs.
As long as we stay out of the court.
Right.
Well, yes, he did say, staying away from the nobility would be quite helpful.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds skeptical. So, essentially, what he kind of sent word ahead, and what they've got planned is a small banquet amongst the warrior cast to celebrate the battle that the three of you shared with him and the rest of his troop. Is there anything in particular you want to do in the city before that happens?
So they're Eladrin or Eleven? Or Elven?
They are Eladrin.
Okay.
Kath is going to go get decent clothes for this event because Deneen pointed out that she should have at least one set of nice clothes because she hasn't been traveling with anything and she doesn't want to. Since they're like hosted by somebody, she doesn't want to be rude and show up in her derelict style paladin garb.
Can Deneen go with you and give you like super terrible advice to get the most frilly thing possible?
Deneen can come along, but Kath's gonna do whatever she damn well pleases.
So Deneen asks, so how are you gonna pay for this, Kath?
I have money.
Does money work here?
I would presume so.
Only one way to find out.
Deneen, yeah, so the first thing we walk into the store, hey, do you accept money?
So the Eladrin behind the counter kind of at first pauses for a moment, and you can see like them kind of like thinking about what you're talking, and of course, we use it for things.
See? I look at Deneen, I'm like, see, it's fine.
Okay then.
So yes.
Look at this, so many ruffles. And these little gauzy lacy bits, like, oh, you need this. Yes.
So what is it you're looking for? How may I help you today?
I need to be dressed appropriately for a banquet. We're staying with a Syndro, and I don't want to make him look foolish.
So, the Eladrin behind the counter is the tallest elf you've ever seen before. Actually taller than most humans. So it looks, and very thin. Looks kind of freakish for an elf. With long hair that drapes down his back almost to the floor. And oftentimes he's like carrying it draped over his arm in order to not drag it on the floor or get it caught in anything.
Oh, Kat can relate to that. As she carries around her tail so it doesn't drag on the floor or get caught in anything.
And his hair is kind of like silver with like silver blue streaks through it.
Ooh. Okay.
So this way, and he takes you to a section that it seems to be like nothing but frills.
This is what I'm talking about, Kath.
And there is all kinds of versions of ridiculous.
Yes. Deneen is very happy.
Like Jennifer Connelly in the Labyrinth level of ridiculous?
Actually, beyond that. Maybe like some Fifth Element stuff.
Like the collars have flying buttresses.
Yeah. Like there's literally one that he shows you that is literally just, it is just like frills all the way down, just like, circled.
I may need to buy something here myself.
Is everything? I apologize and please forgive my ignorance, but is this style consistent across the city with all of these lovely aspects to it?
Well, there's many styles my lady might enjoy. This is just but one. And do you have something else in mind? You said frills, so I brought you over here.
No, she said frills. Very, very different.
Hey, if you want, you can borrow my dress, and I'll buy the frills. Frills and thrills.
No. But that's kind of you to offer. Why don't you just buy the dress that you want?
Well, because I came to help you. But yes, I can buy a dress. Why not?
Well, ladies, I could help both of you.
Yes. So I have a dress that's just like this, and she whips out her sash and wraps it around herself and says, so I want something that will match this color so I can mix and match all kinds of stuff, and then it'll be like I have 5 dresses.
So, so he takes you to one of the racks where there's like there's several dresses on it, and he's kind of like sizing you up and looking at the dresses, and like one of them he's like, I don't know, and then he like shakes it out and like the color changes. Maybe this, and holds it up to you.
It's very pretty. I like it. It would be a little difficult to be stealthy in this, and I like that aspect.
He kind of he gives you a wink and a smile, and he shakes it again, and it turns into like a black gown.
It lets you pick what it is.
It's the general dress itself stays the same, but the color changes.
Oh well, that's a lot of fun. Do I have enough money for this? However, that's the question.
That is the question. Well, how will you be paying today?
I think the most interesting thing I have is money from the material plane. So hopefully that's relatively exotic here. Oh, and we have some treasure from the plane of fire also.
You sure do get around.
Yeah. We're plane hoppers. Still not entirely sure what a plane is. But anyway, we're here.
I understand, Cutter.
Is that me?
No,
Yes.
no. So, well, I could let this go for gold pieces? You're paying in gold pieces?
I have a few platinum.
A few platinum. Well, I could let it go for 250 gold pieces.
That is very tempting. But there's so much I could do with 250 gold pieces. Oh, but it's so beautiful.
And really, how many times are you going to have this opportunity, Deneen?
No, I gotta do it. This is like the elfiest. I have to do it. There's no escaping. But you do have to show me how to, like, fold this and store it so that it doesn't become eternally tangled forever, and then I can never wear it again. Because it's complicated.
Oh, this is made from. It's almost like giving away a trade secret, but this is made from phase spider silk, and it will never tangle.
Yes.
Matter of fact, he takes it and kind of like balls it up, and then flips it out again, and just no wrinkles.
Oh, that's perfect. I definitely need this thing.
He kind of like gives you a nod and a wink over his shoulder, and he's like, "Ironing is for mortals."
I agree. How about you, Kat?
Well, I like not fluffy. I'm fine with ornate, but just not fluffy.
So,
Or roughly.
he looks you up and down, and he's like, he's rubbing his hands across his like finely chiseled, but yet delicate jaw. I think I got a feeling for you. And he brings you over to another section, and it's like really nice, like blouses and trousers, and there's like high boots. What would my lady think of something along these lines?
Sure, why not?
And so there's definitely some sharp stuff over there, as well as a couple tri-corner hats.
Man, I wish I could see the look on his face when she says, "Sure, why not?" Because I have a feeling people don't usually respond to him that way.
God, I'm trying to think. No, she'll go for it. She'll go for it. Sometimes the things that you wouldn't pick out for yourself end up being the best suited anyways. So
what is Kath wearing right now?
Pretty much what she's always wearing. She wears
her stove kettle armor.
Well, she took the armor off before going out into the city because that's a little ridiculous. But she wears mariner's leathers that are made out of sealskin.
Okay.
That repels
So
water.
the stuff that he actually shows you is similar to that, but of a much higher quality.
Mm-hmm. It's not what she wanted, but she'll go for it.
What did she want? You're not. I can tell you're not feeling this. What? You don't want the frills.
I don't want. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I hijacked our section into shopping.
That's half the fun.
Like
If you knew how many times we've done that.
She finally just says, look, I'm not about this. I'm sorry. I have so many of the styles of clothes. I realize that this is what I'm wearing, but it's because I travel rough. I do enjoy dressing up, and she starts giving him very exact specifications as to like color and cut and things like that. And she wants something that is simple to look at, but is still feminine.
So elegant is the keyword you're looking for.
Yes.
So he takes you over to a different rack with several different dresses on it.
Okay. And she starts like whipping through them with much more enthusiasm. And she picks out one for herself, and then she picks out a second for Azucena that she's going to take back to her.
Ooh. Is that the wife?
Oh, yeah, sorry, that's her wife.
Oh, okay. I hadn't heard that name yet. So.
Oh.
So he does kind of pull out one though that to show you, and it's like when you look at it, it almost looks like water, like rippling.
Ooh, so it's like blues and stuff.
Yeah, but it moves like light rippling off, or water rippling, or light reflecting off water. Kind of gives that feel.
All right. Ooh, that sounds pretty sweet. She's all about this.
Something like this, then, my lady. I did not mean to offend.
Oh no, you're not giving offense at all, and yes, that would be perfect.
So the price is the same.
And she's for both because she's picked out a second thing as well.
Since you're such a fine customer, I will give you the lot for 400.
Oh, no problem. She hands over 400 gold. Thank you.
Nice. And Deneen counts out her money.
Or she actually ends up spending more than that because she makes the mistake of walking past the shoes on the way out. And so she ends up like running back in.
You need super high heels, Calf.
Do you want me to die?
Oh. You need
flats.
You need flats, possibly with some kind of stabilizers.
Yeah.
And so he also walks over to you, and he's got some like strips of, it looks like golden wire in his hands, and he's like, "May I?"
What are you planning to do with that?
You're a tiefling with horns, right?
Yes.
Let me show you. If you don't like it, we can undo it right away.
Okay. I'll sit still for this.
So he like winds gold, like gold wire around your horns, and like in a spiral.
It's very pretty, Cat.
And he does it in a way so then it almost looks like you're wearing a circlet across the front.
Can you add like some sparkly beads in there? Like not a lot, but just kind of like peppered throughout. And she's getting into this. And then after he's done, she's like, Arun's gonna be so jealous.
Mm-hmm. Maybe circlet buds.
Yeah.
he totally does, and then he's kind of looking at your tail, and he's like, "Can we do something with that?" And he looks really excited.
I'm not opposed to it, but I'll warn you. And she shows him like all the scars on her tail. She's like, I trip on this thing all the time, so I'm worried that whatever you do is just gonna get beaten or scuffed up.
Oh, don't worry. These are all elven made here in the Feywild. The finest quality. They will resist the most brutal of beatings, I assure you.
Okay.
So he does something similar with your towel as well, with winding.
Ooh. Okay.
So.
Ooh, I feel so
And that way, when you have it draped over your arm, it's almost like a beautiful bracelet.
Well,
ooh.
That and it's almost like the towel is wearing bracelets, but by the time you're done, he's like 700 with all the shoes and the accessories.
All right, she's good for that. Kath never spends money. She has a lot.
Well, some of my other players complain that there's nothing to spend money on in D&D, and I'm like, well, maybe you just need to play with more women. I don't know.
You need a car, you need a new wagon, you need some wine, you definitely need clothes.
If they ever need coaching on this matter, I am a pro at spending money, both in and out of game.
Nice.
Shopping is some of the funnest stuff.
What is Kenna doing in the meantime?
Kenna would like to procure a new pipe, find a stranger, and smoke some halfling pipeweed with said strange Eladrin that she does not know, and just attempts to reconcile herself with the way her life is going at this moment because she's having a personal crisis.
Oh crap, we just ditched you after you got all your memories back. We're horrible friends!
I probably kicked you out of the room we're staying in.
We were so excited about shopping, we 100% forgot that she wasn't with us. So finally, like, where's Kenna?
Oh.
I need to be around somebody that doesn't know me right now.
Did we forget Kenna? I think we forgot Kenna.
Oh no, and she's probably having like a bad day because.
How can she have a bad day? This city's awesome.
But she just got all of her memories back. What if there's like bad memories that came back that now she has to remember how to deal with them?
That also means she's alone with that jar of eyeballs. We have to go.
Yeah.
Alright, so what can I find in the vein of fancy magic pipe?
So basically what you find is a pipe that looks very much like the face and head of Treebeard, and it looks like it's carved out of ivory, but it's not. It's carved out of wood.
I'm like checking this out. I'm gonna flag down the shopkeeper. I'm like, what is with this?
It's a pipeweed pipe.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like looking through it like it's a telescope and stuff. Like obviously it's gonna be clean and things. I imagine this is not used material, but
it actually is a lot lighter than you would expect. It looks like it should be heavier.
yeah. Alright, how much?
For you, my friend, 75 gold.
Done. I'm not even gonna try to haggle with this man. That's perfectly fine. It's exactly what I was looking for. Cool. In which case, gotta go find a strange Eladrin and toke up.
So before you go, he's like, "Can I interest you in some pipeweed for your pipe?"
Yes. I didn't realize that was a thing that Eladrin were cool with just selling in stores. I'm listening. Do go on.
Well, it seems mighty silly to have to sell these fine pipes that we do and have nothing to put in them. And he shows you several things that are really just tobacco. There's different varieties of tobacco, and also he's like, but I know I don't look that old, but I've been around and I'm quite old, and I've met a few halflings in my time, and I know what halflings are like.
Yes, you do.
And this is he pulls out a small pouch of pipeweed, and this is the emerald.
This is the emerald.
Yes, we grow it here. I mean, it's an acquired taste. Not many of the Eladrin here and even the elves here really partake of it very often. But every once in a while, centaurs and satyrs wander in, and they really like this stuff. And I don't know if you've ever hung out with a centaur or satyrs, but they're very hardy constitutions. So you have to be really careful with this.
Okay. All right, you have piqued my interest. I am down. Let's get some of this emerald then. And I pause because he knows how much this costs and I do not. Like this is Feywild shit, so different rules.
You know what? You remind me of someone I once met. 10 gold.
Awesome. Yes. Cool. So I have now procured a Feywild tank and
a Feywild dime bag, mind you.
Yes.
The greenest of green.
And when he shows it to you and look at it, like as soon as he kind of like opens it, the smell just kind of hits you from a few feet away, and you can see it almost glows. It is so green.
Oh, I'm okay with this.
So, where are you looking for your stranger, and what kind of person are you looking for? Because as you wander through, I imagine like one of the things that probably might appeal to you is you see like a large park with like sculpted bushes and shrubbery, and maybe it wouldn't normally appeal so much, but as you're walking around, you're kind of wandering and you're alone with your thoughts. There's one of a bear, and you have to take a second look because you think it danced. Like as you look, the shrubs actually seem to be somewhat animate, and they moved. After you watch for a little while, you see they have a pattern, and they kind of go back to it, and you're probably guessing it's some kind of enchantment. They're not. You don't think they're actually animated.
In that case, Deneen and Kat probably find me wandering around in this park looking at shrubbery.
If we find you, we have no idea where you went.
I mean, I just followed the smell.
As you wander around, you kind of like walk by. You actually do see a satyr, and he's got like a following of Lady Eladrin's and a couple young men as well, kind of fawning and listening to him as he recites poetry. And you kind of maybe it was the smell that drew you in that direction, but you can see that he's smoking a tobacco cigarette off of a gold and silver cigarette holder as he blows smoke rings and smoke animals as he recites poetry, and they all seem to be kind of like swooning.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna sit down and listen to some of this poetry. Like I'll get into a rap battle with a satyr. Let's do this.
Feywild poetry slam.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely have to go look for her because we can't miss this.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Katha's like, I knew I should have tried to prep study for locate person, but it's always so hard.
It's okay. She can't have gone that far, right?
On the short little legs, is that what you mean?
You didn't hear me say that.
I didn't hear you say that.
She's probably back at Syndro's place. Let's just go ask there. We'll go check for her, and if she's not there, we'll just ask which way she went.
Solid plan. I'm sure nothing bad will come of this.
So, after a while, you gather the satyr's name. Apparently, he's a bard that spends a lot of time here in the city. Finalis is his name.
That's a wonderful name. It is good to meet you, new friend. I'm Kenna.
And he kind of like bows to you, kind of gives you like a flourishing bow, and he's dressed in Eladrin finery, a sweeping bow with his hat, and then he goes for your hand and tries to kiss the back of your hand.
Kenna would allow that. She'll bow back and get all theatrical with it. If he's gonna bring the drama, let's be dramatic.
Yeah. So I believe it's sometime at this point that the other two ladies wander upon Kenna having a dramatic off with the satyr.
Oh boy.
So Kath rolls up wearing her regular clothes, but her tail and her horns are blinked out like crazy level.
Oh my.
Deneen has totally already switched into the ridiculous gown because that's obliged.
And we're totally riding a rune around through the city, both of us on top of him looking for you. Or I'd assume Kath would offer Deneen. You don't have to.
Deneen will stand up on Arun's butt to get a better view.
I will hop up and wave you guys down. And be like, Kath, come over here and hit this.
Yeah.
Hi.
And the satyr that is standing there next to Kenna, he seems to his face lights up and he seems to get excited. And I see you've found Gazinth's Tailor shop.
Yes, we found it.
We found it wonderful.
He takes off his hat and you see that he's got some of the same thing on his horns.
Ooh, fancy! I like it.
Did you know it is the only place in the city of the Emerald Spires where you can get this done? How many shops did you go to before you found him?
He was just the first one we wandered into, and he had stuff that suited what we were looking for, so we just needed to go there. Sounds like we were pretty lucky, though. That's awesome.
I always get my stuff from there. His finery is...
So Deneen is looking at this guy. She's trying to mask her expression, but she's actually a little suspicious because A, she's never seen anybody like this before, I'm assuming. And B, he looks just like those things that Kenna was dancing with when she was stuck in the wall.
Oh yeah, it does look a little bit like
so
that.
Deneen's like,
I came over here.
Although when closer inspection, his upper body features are much different. And,
okay, I'll feel better then.
But just like those folks, he's not wearing any pants, but he does have a fine shirt and jacket on.
Probably also part of why I came over here.
Does Kenna still have her pants on?
Yes.
Okay.
Kenna, I'm
if
sorry.
you were pantsless, then Kath would toke up and join you. She's like, oh, is this a thing here? I dig it.
Can you dig it?
Oh. Kenna, I'm sorry we ditched you when we went shopping.
I needed a minute to get myself out of my head.
Yes. Are you okay?
Because we can back off.
I can make you just as okay in a minute if you want to try some of this. I tell you. And I'm trying to talk you into it.
You don't have to persuade Kat.
What is it?
It's pipeweed. It's Feywild pipeweed. I'm fairly impressed.
It's gotta be pretty good if it's impressing you.
Yeah. So you notice Finnelis trying to hone in on what you're doing and kind of trying to look without looking like he's looking.
I'll pass him the pipe too.
Oh, it's so wonderful. I love the city and I love the folks. And he kind of nods and then a gaggle of Eladrin women kind of giggle. But they just don't really understand how to enjoy some of the finer things in life.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like we've got a pretty good handle on it to me, but he did say that I was still at.
Well, maybe it doesn't work on them the same way.
That's a good point.
Well, Adrian, they're kind of old and set in their ways, and many of them don't get out as often. The boundaries and barriers between worlds has thickened. It's not as easy to get around as it used to be.
Nope.
Where do you go? And Kath was all over this. So how quickly does this stuff take effect?
I would say after the first toke, you're starting to feel something.
Okay. So, you've been in different planes and stuff. That's pretty cool. Where did you go? Where are you from?
Well, mostly I'm from around here, but I have had a few jaunts into other places.
You know, where we're from, there's lots of portals that go all kinds of places.
Ah, yes. I've heard a little bit about that. There's been a bit of chatter and talk.
Because you said it's harder to get between planes now, but apparently it's just spontaneously happening near us.
Ah, yes. Where are you from?
What's it called again?
Prime material plane.
The prime materia plane. Material plane.
Yes.
He kind of gives you a wink and a smile, and then he goes into one of his poems. And the poem's all about how they're about many different prime material planes.
Well, it'll always be prime to me.
But no.
Now you're just getting philosophical.
It is. There has been talk, though. You know, your accent is a little bit familiar. One of the planes has been closed off for many millennia now, and it seems that the barriers are softening.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that was our plan, because not our town. So our town has lots of portals, but then there's this other town that's like down the road a ways, and they had some crazy monster come out of the sea and wipe it out, and like it was enormous and huge. So I wouldn't be surprised if whatever our barriers are that are thinning, if crazy stuff like that is happening. I think it would fit.
Casually holding and patting Denise's hand.
Denise's getting less and less thrilled with this concept. And she says, well, Asindro did say that they used to have contact with Carchapavium, and now they don't.
Ah, yes, that is where the barriers are weakening, for sure. I knew that I knew your accent sounded familiar.
In Carchapavium, specifically? Or that plane?
That plane. Ulfganya, they call it.
I didn't realize that planes had, like, planar accents. That's actually really cool.
Well,
Except for Jersey, we don't have accents here.
no, you guys have no accents whatsoever. You know, I can see that because, so there's these really nice ladies from the Fireplane who taught me Primordial recently, and they warned me that I have very good grammar, but my accent would definitely be a Fireplane accent, and to just be aware of that based on who else I would be talking to. So I can see that. That makes sense.
Absolutely. So how will you fine ladies be spending the rest of the day?
We have a dinner party that we have to go to. Would you like to accompany me? And then I just grin because I know I'm gonna, like, this is a mistake, but I'm gonna make it willingly.
I love dinner parties, and I have not been on a date for so long. This will be fabulous.
I'm gonna elbow Kath.
I don't notice.
Kath may not notice.
That's why I'm elbowing Kath.
What?
So you know, he just asked for the specifics, and
I have no reason to lie. I'm just really amused by the idea of a guy, like a satyr coming to this fancy dinner party, like, because I'm kind of getting this vibe, you know, like he's hanging out here in the garden and stuff, like in an outdoor place, and like taking part in things the Eladrin do not, and I imagine that it's going to be quite a scandal. So.
Well, and not just that, he specifically said this is a date.
I noticed that, Kenna didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Deneen probably notices some of the ladies' feathers ruffle. Huh.
Yeah, that's the thing. She did ask first.
And even the gentlemen, so their feathers are ruffling as well.
Oh, well.
Is there anything specific you guys want to do before the party?
No.
So Do they have L-even or equivalent here? That Denise has noticed in her travel through the city?
You know what? You probably would have noticed, and it's actually there would have probably you would have noticed a temple to Coralon. What's his last name? What's this?
Lorathian.
Yeah, that's it.
Ooh. Have I heard of this this person before? That's just the Feywild.
You know what?
Feywild god.
There's wait a minute, do you have religion?
No.
Yeah, so you probably have not.
I have -1 on religion.
But you know, some of the
depictions,
do kind of make you think of a leave-in.
Interesting. I will go in and say hello to whatever god this is.
Well, when you walk in, you know, you feel much at peace, and there's actually a fountain running in the center of the church, and you know, there's also, you know, an altar, and everything seems to be. It's almost like this church was grown, and all the features of it seem really natural. Like even like the fountain, it's almost like the earth came up to and shaped itself into this, you know, this small fountain with a small jet of water that comes up almost like a spring, and then it kind of just runs off the sides into cracks in the floor without ever kind of like splashing over. The altar itself looks to be grown of wood, and several different woods too, and it's almost like they kind of intertwine themselves to form his symbol. And there's a couple blossoms and leaves as well.
So let's see. She will pray. If you're my boss, or on pretty good terms with my boss, L-even, he already knows about this, but I'm super hoping to like maybe save my husband and daughter at some point from this creepy winter court hereditary bow curse thing eventually. So if there's any way you could help with that, I'd really appreciate it. And then she'll take her flower out of her hair and then put that with some of the other flowers here, and then cast minor illusions, so there's a whole vine of them sort of twining around the edge of the fountain. As sort of an offering of something pretty.
As you do that, and you're like getting ready to kind of pack it up and leave, you have this sensation like you're moving really fast, and you get this like bird's eye view of enormous silver and white tree, and all the leaves seem to be made of ice and snow. Ooh. And then it kind of like zooms in on a very feminine, beautiful woman's face that seems to be carved into the front of the tree. The eyes are, the eyes have no pupils or irises. It's just the white and really fine features. And there's a slight smile on the woman's face, and poking out is a bit of an overbite with pointed canines. Over delicate features, delicate lips, and her face is like feral and elegant at the same time.
He did say it was some kind of blood magic, and then my father-in-law's lived an awfully long time. Very interesting. Thank you. I am sure this vision will be useful. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And so the vision of the tree and the woman's face is like forever etched in your mind.
I'll never forget that.
And you also, as you looked and you experienced this like coldness that kind of washed over you.
So, Deneen will renew the. It's only going to last a minute, but she will renew the flower vine illusion before she leaves, and then she'll take off to rejoin her friends.
So, Dave, you said, are there any poorer parts of the city, or is everything nice and super fancy?
Everything is nice and super fancy here.
Okay, so since there's no one here that's really Kath's type of crowd, so what she does is every time she passes a fountain, and I'm assuming there's multiple ones throughout the city, but whenever they pass a fountain, she takes out a copper coin that has a crown shape punched out of it, and she has like a little bag of these that she keeps for such purposes, and she tosses one of those into the fountains.
Yeah,
so little bits of the Beggar King throughout the city.
As you kind of like run into people throughout the city, like the most dressed down you've seen is the Eladrin you ran out of the city, and even after they got back in, they kind of changed. So it's like every time you see somebody, it feels like you're looking at a lord or a lady, for the most part, until you actually see someone of the nobility, which you don't really ever get too close to them, and then they somehow make the other Eladrins look like peasants, but only briefly, only in comparison.
Okay. Yeah. She definitely like doesn't try to hide or stealth or anything, but is trying not to draw too much attention to herself.
You're noticed. Let's just say that. Ranging from, mild curiosity. Occasionally, you catch a glance of maybe a little hostility, or indifference, but more curiosity than anything.
Well, like in Gryphongaffe, she'd probably stop to and talk to people and engage with them, especially if it was someone like some kind of craftsman that was doing something that she thought she was interesting. She doesn't mind engaging with strangers, but here she's not doing that. She's just trying to stay out of trouble.
Okay. Yeah, most of what I'm talking about is just looks from afar.
Sure. Okay.
You do get some like you want to say children that follow you for a little bit, but like they
alarms her.
They look very adult. They just look small though.
They're probably evil children.
Most are.
Aww. Evil children that look like they're adults because they're already wicked and evil and they have no innocence left in them.
There's the delightful turn from down.
I think that pipe weed is a little paranoid there.
She holds her whenever she sees kids, she immediately grabs her tail and holds it closer to her, like she's worried they're gonna go after it.
I don't blame her. I feel like that in the real world, so. But yeah, so you're able to do that, and you probably even like at one point you even do wander by a older looking Eladrin, and you maybe you're even drawn by the sound of metal ringing upon metal, and you find like an open smithy where this really old looking elf is there working on a piece of metalwork, and he actually has a long white beard with long hair, long white hair, except for he's a little bald on top, and but his clothes are like immaculate.
That's not right. That's not right. You're supposed to get dirty doing things. This is a weird plane.
And then, if you stop to watch for a little while, he seems to beat and work the metal effortlessly.
Okay, she'll watch for a little while, but again, she doesn't interpose herself or draw or start a conversation or anything. She's equal parts interested in watching good craftsmanship and also slightly disgusted that he's so clean.
But then again, this whole place is super clean.
It's not right.
Yeah, it's almost like dirt has been banished.
Well, let me come and fix that.
Didn't you wrap Pigpen up before you came in?
She did. She
Yeah.
did. Because she didn't want to leave a trail of rust. Because he leaves a trail of rust everywhere, and she thought that would probably draw too much attention.
Kath is going to undo Pigpen and go shake out what's wrapped around it on the smith.
But yeah, if she like lurks in the, she wouldn't do this. But I picture her lurking behind a corner, and like whenever he steps away, she runs off. She shakes the dust everywhere and then runs off. But no, because she would think about doing that and grin, but she wouldn't actually do it.
Next time.
Not while they're guests of somebody who might be affected by their bad behavior.
And I think, every now and again you catch longing glances from Arun as he looks at things in this place.
You want souvenirs, don't you?
I think part of what you get from him is like he likes it here.
Everything's so decorated. You got decorated. That is his thing. Okay. Well, she can't say no to him. You should take her back to Gazin's tailor shop and see if he can do Arun's horns up fancy. Or teach you how to do it, since you've got to redo it every time he shows up.
I love it so much. Think of how happy he would be.
Oh, he just got a circlet.
He could be your date for the dinner.
Oh my god, please do.
Arun, you're a steed from the Beggar King. You're already pushing it with like the levels of fancy that you have. I mean, what's our boss gonna say if you come if you're marching around in the Feywild all super glittery and stuff? I don't know, buddy. How about and she'll get in like a few things, but she's like,
It's true. The only reason you're all dolled up is because we have to go to this fancy thing. It's a social obligation.
Absolutely a social obligation.
Not
that we wanted to go.
He gives you a look that somehow conveys that it's your boss, not his boss.
Fine. And she takes...
Well, that was easy.
She's a sap where Arun is concerned. So she gives in and she takes him back to the shop and relays to this individual that her celestial Auroch would like to have. And then she would like to have something done to his horns similar to hers.
So I don't know what Kath is expecting from Gazinth when you come in with this request, but if he thinks anything of it, it never touches his face, and he says, well, of course, bring him right in,
but it has to be able to come off and put back on if that's possible, because whenever I dismiss him, this is going to sound very morbid, and I promise this doesn't happen often, but whenever he dies, before I bring him back, everything comes off, and I would like to be able to put it back on, because he gets really super touchy walking around without all of his accessories.
Yeah, from the door you hear what do you say about when he dies? I think we have just the thing, and come in. What did you say your friend's name is?
This is Arun.
Come in, Master Arun. Come in. And he starts praising all of his jewelry. We have not had one of your stature here in a long time, and those hooves are magnificent. We could buff them for you. And the horns as well. And what a large set of horns! What a rack you have on you, Master Arun. You're quite the handsome gentleman.
So Arun starts posing like very wriggly. Whatever's being praised, he like tilts or adjusts so the light hits it. Like when his hooves are mentioned, he puts one forward and he stands very regally, and he's just basking in this attention. And Kath is just there.
Kath is there like that. Deneen will make sure she's like, yes. Imagine the possibilities.
And you know, as he's doing it, he's like inspecting his horns and looking at his stuff. He kind of leans in, and you see his lips move, but you don't know what he says, Kath. And Deneen, he whispers into Rune's ear, "I've got just the thing for you, Master, and for your other pretties too. You're not going to have to worry about losing them for quite some time. We're going to fix you right up."
Ooh.
And he brings out the wire and does the wire around the horn similar to yours. And he says we could do the tail as well.
Yes, do it.
And Arun whips around and he gives her this face that's just daring her to say no. Like, just see what happens if you say no, lady.
I'll slap Kath on the back encouragingly.
Yes, of course.
So he does all that, and he buffs his hooves for him, and then he goes behind the counter and comes back with a glass bottle of something and pulls a stopper out, and then puts this substance on his hands. You can see it's really oily, and he sets it and rubs it in his hands, and then he begins rubbing down Arun all over the place, wherever he's got his decorations. And he goes, "There you go, buddy. You'll be good now."
That means he gets to keep it?
And so he's like, since you've been such good customers, and and the time that you've left and come back, I've heard what you've done in the swamps. I almost feel guilty for charging you earlier. So this is on the house.
Arun helped us with all that also.
He's one
of our heroic band.
I've heard, and I would not doubt it's such a majestic creature as Arun.
Can I make an insight check to see if there's something shady going on?
Sure.
Because as a person who engages in illegal activity from time to time, Kath is wary of anything that's free.
I'm just making notes about all of the nice things people are saying about Arun, because Arun is getting his own ballad later.
Nice. And Kath rolled a 1.
Nice. So she is 6. She is probably still kind of buzzed, so.
Yeah.
This is absolutely true. She'd like to think about whether or not this is sketchy, but she's completely captivated by the glitteriness of everything.
Yeah, that check should have been probably a disadvantage anyway.
Okay.
But we can't do worse than a 1.
She's like, well, thank you. That is so very generous, and he looks so pleased and happy. I appreciate that. He isn't as appreciated as he should be in some places. So I'm so grateful of your treatment of him.
I'm very impressed.
Well, he is one of a kind. And in all sincerity, I am very grateful for what you've done with the swamp and banishing that awful place. You've righted a great wrong.
There were great wrongs on our side of the planar border as well. So it helps you and it helps us.
Well, anytime you're in the city, feel free to look me up. You're more than welcome here.
Yes, we've heard great reviews of your establishment from Finalis.
So what are you guys doing now?
What's Kenna up to?
Oh, I just assumed I was there with you guys.
Oh, okay.
So probably just getting ready. If the thing is that night, then
I have just been melodramatic all evening and like making notes in my little, you know what, being around poets causes a certain hipsterness to come out.
Denny is hoping that this is a good distraction for Kenna, all this rigmarole. But she does say, Kenna, I meant to ask you, I had a vision earlier, and I'm wondering if you have ever heard anything about this, like in a story or something.
Go on.
It was about this, like, silver tree covered in frost.
Okay.
And there was this woman's face, like, in the tree, and she was, like, elegant and beautiful, but also, like, weirdly feral with fangs. And it's something about that hereditary curse on my family, on Alarian and Fane.
Okay, so my religion check ends up at 22.
Ooh.
Do I know anything about this?
It's not a religious thing.
Okay.
Like
okay.
do
Well
you think
then,
there's...
give me a second. I'm rolling history instead. Okay, that one's only a 15.
So I mean, it's pretty clear to you that it's connected to the Winter Court. Just from that imagery, and the Winter Court embraces some of the wilder, more savage aspects of the natural order. So that part, the feralness probably isn't that much of a would not be a surprise to you.
I tell her that.
So you think the whole toothy thing is just like part
Probably
of their
something
feralness,
like
as opposed to like some weird werewolf vampire craziness?
I mean,
It's bad enough that it's fey, right?
Oh, that's a
Part of the
great
fact-
idea. Unseelie vampire werewolf. Perfect.
No, don't take that idea.
like part of the fact that they honor nature, you know, like the bloodletting is a part of that. Like there's a lot of overlap in a lot of places in traditional lore, but no, I'm pretty sure it's just normal fae nonsense, man.
Okay, I was wondering because my father-in-law has supposedly lived for a very long time, so I'm assuming that's what his deal is about.
But in my experience, the eerily beautiful ones are the really difficult ones to kill, so we might want to take that into consideration when we go to shake this thing down.
What feats does Kenna have?
I have observant and linguist.
Okay. So if you guys aren't doing anything else, you guys end up with like a couple hours to kind of like chill and unwind before the banquet.
Gotta get ready for the party.
Short rest.
Gonna use my magic comb and do my hair all crazy, like silver, with colors from my whatever color I end up. Actually, it'll be silver with like a black streak because that'll match whatever color I use on my dress, because I'll probably be changing it over the course of the evening.
So that definitely works. When you guys arrive, the place is full. There's a live band playing music. There are some magical effects in the air that are kind of creating like illusions and colored lights, and it's kind of like the Fey version of a disco.
Nice.
And there are Eladrin in here kind of cutting loose. Most of them are armed, except for like the weapons that they're armed with seem more ceremonial in nature than, and as basically part of their ornamentation as much as functional.
I'm like in my head mentally making bets on which of these nobles will end up challenging each other to duels over the course of the evening, and if that's a thing that happens here.
You know, you're not sure if any of them are actually nobles or not. A lot of them seem to be dressed up almost in like military dress, and all the elves that or the Eladrin you guys were traveling with earlier or the day before are here, and some of them are a little hard to recognize because they're not in their woodland garb, where before they were dressed basically like almost like woodsmen.
I melt of how fancy these people are again.
And one figure does kind of come in who you do not recognize, and like instantly you realize that none of these people here that you were looking at before were actually nobility, because this one kind of just puts them all to shame. And it's not even like his dress or his clothes. It's just something about him, his bearing, an aura that just tells you that just makes you think that he's better than everybody else.
What do you see that?
Yeah. Asindra said stay away from nobles. Stay away, Kenna.
From the court.
Yes, but he's from the court. He's part of the court. Let's not get mixed up in the court stuff.
I think that isn't the court different from nobles?
I don't know.
The court was like a separate thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's another thing.
What? I've been researching this for the past year. Would Deneen know this?
You can absolutely tell that Kenna is just saying what Kath said because she wants to go over there and talk to the sparkle.
Kath, you always get on my case because you say I never believe you about stuff you know about. I've been researching Fae for the past year, in Carchapathium.
Okay.
And he says stay away from court stuff, and this being is involved in court stuff. I guarantee it.
Okay. We will leave the fancy man alone.
Just saying.
Give me a history check with advantage, Deneen.
Well, she might be saying this anyway, just on print. Oh yes, an 8.
Oh.
Because she has a -1 on history.
Nice.
I was assuming I wasn't actually assuming this was even necessarily true. I'm just assuming she's decided that this is the most dangerous person in the room, and so she's discouraging her friends from approaching.
Can I make a history check? Because I'm a little skeptical of what Deneen is saying, but I'm not going to say that to her face because she has a point about all the times that Kath says, just believe what I tell you.
You can make a history check.
Okay.
Deneen,
a history check versus my deception check.
He is not the most dangerous person in this room. You are probably the most dangerous person in this room. At least
that's a totally different kind of danger. I merely kill things.
It's true. She's never once stolen a soul that I've seen.
I've never stolen anyone's memory. I don't have a jar of eyeballs.
Hey, that is a nice jar of eyeballs. They're all different colors. It really matches. It really ties the room together, Deneen. You have to admit that.
Whose eyeballs are they?
I don't know, but if we ever find them, I can give them back now.
I rolled a 23.
Wow. Not all nobles belong to the court. All those that belong to the court are nobles. So there's some merit to what Deneen says, but it's not an absolute.
Which is what Kath thought, that like the court was like a very limited, small kind of ruling group. But okay, but she's not gonna say anything because there's effectually no point in being right, because she's still gonna avoid the guy because she doesn't want Deneen, and she's really got no interest in him anyways. But so yeah, she doesn't speak up, but she sits there silently smug that she thinks she's right.
I wonder if any of those eyeballs were one of Sheena's, or if she's just heterochromatic.
Well, her eyes should be back to whatever color they were before now. We're going to have to check that when we get back to town.
We'll have to check that when we get back to town.
If she's missing eyeballs, you definitely have to let her go fishing in your jar. Wait, what am I saying? No, don't do that.
That was half the point of taking it. The other half is that it just looks really cool. Finalist.
She's good.
Revival. Cool or lame?
You're gonna go back to town, and she's just gonna be wearing sunglasses all the time. So nothing, nothing out of the ordinary really happens. There is, well, you know what? Give me a, let's go ahead and investigate check for Kenna.
Good luck, Kenna. Uh-oh.
12.
The one duel that does end up happening, you did not pick either of the participants.
Man, I'm actually going to make it a point to go back, find out why the duel happened, and figure out why that was for future reference.
Okay.
You have to tell me something Kenna would do.
Okay. Well, after kind of digging around and eavesdropping a little bit, one of them supposedly paid the other a slight and impinged upon their honor.
Okay. What qualifies as a slight in the Feywild, though? I probably recognize the danger of pressing further, and am not gonna do that, but I will go find Janine.
What about your date?
Oh yeah, your date is here too.
I did at one point. I was like, "Hey, Finalist, is a jar of eyeballs cool or lame?"
He starts reciting poetry about the particular eyes in the jar.
See, he thinks they're cool.
I take it merely as a testament to his talent that he can make poetry about such a thing.
So, after you dig a little deeper and find out about the slight, it is actually about swordcraft itself, and so they decided to settle it like gentlemen.
I see.
And
so it's a test of skill.
And Finalist is and he was absolutely right. He was he was overrated, as you could see, and pointing out to the winner.
And how loud is he being about this?
Oh, he's actually being pretty subtle.
Okay.
He's because after you spend the evening with him, you gather, though he spends a lot of time here and enjoys it here, he is also an outsider. So that many of the fey creatures are welcome, but they're still kind of outsiders.
Well, cool. I'm just gonna hang out with my satyr then, and enjoy the party. Because we're in the same box here. We don't really belong in this room.
So, how long do you plan to stay here before you go home?
Well, they've got families waiting on them, so we should probably be heading back sooner rather than later.
And there's a little bit of spilled ale on the table where you guys are sitting. He's kind of doodling in it and playing with it. And families at home?
Oh yes, I have family at home, and she just leaves it that vague.
Yeah. So he cocks his eyebrow a little bit. Oh, and he kind of seems like he's beating around the bush a little bit. How long have you been here?
We don't know. That's part of the problem.
Oh, sure. I'm sure you know how long you've been here.
Well, we know how long we've been here. It took us a day to get here from the swamp, so probably 2 days? 2 days?
I think we're on day 3.
3 days?
And how long we were in the in-between for half a day before we got here.
Right.
I see. And
Do you have any way of knowing how long that would be in our home?
We asked about
We
the
did
time
ask.
difference, but people just kind of were like, it's weird. That's the best answer we
Yeah,
got.
Asindro didn't know, but they don't leave. Finless here. Oh no, he doesn't either.
It's been many moons, and you know, when he begins stroking his goatee, and when I did used to travel more, it was always a bit sad. You know, I would go back and people would be gone, and I'd meet new people, and I'd go back and they'd be gone.
So it is possible that we're running on a different time frame than the time frame back home.
That sounds like it.
You know, not only is it possible, it is probable.
Oh.
Does it ever go backwards? Like, is there a chance that when we get home, it'll be earlier than when we left?
Ooh, that would be interesting.
And Kenna drops her fork and like kind of covers her mouth for a second.
Oh, but then
We have to avoid ourselves.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh,
Or how fabulous would it be to meet myself?
Maybe we could help ourselves out, though. Like, what if there were what if when we were doing our adventures, there were like other things that would have attacked us, but other us saved us from things.
So, Deneen, critical question, who gets our spouse? Past us or current us?
Well, all we have to do is wait. No, all we have to do is wait until we leave, and then they'll be us later, and then we get our spouse back.
Hear me out, right? Okay, because nobody is going to know how to
too much thinking for me.
What was that, Kenna?
No one is going to know how to please you better than you do, so why not both?
I think I can figure out.
Yeah, it's probably flowing in the right direction, time and whatnot, so we probably don't need to worry about it. I'm just saying it seems like the opposite of a problem to me, but...
Well, I do hate to bring this up, but I really like you ladies, and again, I also heard the stories of what you've done, which is amazing. So I will give you this piece of advice. If you have those that you cherish back at home, you may want to get to them sooner rather than later.
You're right, we should probably go.
Except for you, of course, my lady, and he kind of bows to Kenna. You can stay here for as long as you like with me.
You know, as much as I would love to, I've got people I need to be getting back home to as well.
You're welcome to come back with us. You traveled before,
Absolutely.
right?
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that possibility. It's been so long since I've been able to leave this place.
Well, we have the hookup.
So the part of Kat's brain that just every now and then wants to push the big red chaos button is just like blinking rapidly and tempted to be like, yeah, it's a great idea to take somebody across the planar barriers when apparently our plane's been shut off for a really long time. I'm sure that nothing bad will come of this. Let's do this. So she's thinking that it's probably going to be maybe disastrous, but most likely awesome.
So and for once, Denise doesn't think of anything disastrous.
So
instead, she says, "Well, since it looks like we'll be going soon, I'm gonna go have a word with Asindro before we leave."
When Kenna says hook up, he kind of looks at you with a little bit of a glint in his eye.
I smirk.
So
that's not what I.
So you find Asindro, kind of holding mini court, if you would, talking to some of the other Eladrin, and when he sees you coming over, he waves you over. He would have probably greeted you all of you individually earlier, but he waves you over and he begins introducing the half a dozen other Eladrin he's conversing with, and introduces you as one of the heroines of the swamp, one of the slayers of the hags.
So Deneen would absolutely do the most polite greetings and curtsies that she can manage, with every scrap of her social deception that she can manage. But ultimately, after making a bit of small talk, she would say, Asindro, it has been truly lovely visiting your fair city and staying in your home and coming to this wonderful party. But we fear our time in the Feywild must end soon, because we do need to get back to our plane before too much time passes there.
I understand. I hope you will stay till the end of the party at least.
Out of curiosity, how long do these parties usually last?
We'll probably keep going until maybe the wee hours.
Well, I did want to ask, because I wouldn't want to impose on you when you're recuperating in the morning. You had a message that you wanted us to bring to Carchapathium?
Yes. And well, before you leave, I will have it delivered to you.
That would be wonderful. I'm going to talk to my friends about. We probably. I'm assuming we'll stay till the end of the party, but perhaps not overnight. I don't know. I'm going to have to talk to them about it. Because we are still going to have to travel, I guess, back to where we got here. It's still going to take us days to get out of here, actually, I guess. Because we still have to walk back to where we were.
Well, there are ways to get around faster.
Oh. That would definitely help then.
And actually, I see you seem to be quite acquainted with one of the masters of those ways.
Oh.
And he kind of flourishes towards
interesting.
Fenelus.
Oh, well, I'll have to ask Fenelus about it then. Wonderful. Oh, and I did have one more question for you, if that's all right.
Sure.
And if it's a sensitive topic, feel free to not answer. But have you ever heard of, like, something in the Feywild, probably Winter Sword? That's like a large silver frosty tree with a woman's face in the bark.
Would make an insight check.
Ooh. Agreed. And I'm gonna use my inspiration. So that's a nat 20 for 27.
Oh. Just for the barest instant, you feel like you see the kind of like it happens so fast, but the blood drain from his face when you say it.
Yeah, she was kind of anticipating, since she's mentioning something court related, and it's winter court, which is even worse than the summer court he already warned us off of. She was kind of expecting that kind of reaction, but he does seem to recognize it. And so she just adopts a, benignly expectant look.
Excuse me, and he says to the rest of the Eladrin, and he kind of like puts an arm around your shoulder and kind of guides you away from the group. And I will help you with this thing, and I will give you the information you seek, but I will not speak it here. I will send you back to your realm with 2 letters. One for your eyes and one for you to deliver.
That sounds like it would be helpful, and I'm sure it would please Corellin, because I received this in a vision at Corellin's temple.
And I would not speak of it openly while you're still here. Their words have power, and here more so. So be careful with your tongue.
I appreciate the warning, and I'm certainly done speaking of it then.
Is the least I could do for a comrade in arms.
Yes. Well, I appreciate all your people's help for us in the swamp.
Well, it was for the betterment of our people in the city, as well as for your friends and family at home. It was good for all of us.
Well, then it's fortuitous that we crossed paths.
You guys have the brooches that he gave you?
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you what they do?
No. He just gave them to us.
We assumed it was kind of a sign to be like, not riffraff, do not arrest type thing. That's what Kath was assuming.
Well, he said we were under his protection as he was handing them over, so I was guessing it had something to do with that.
He got pretty smirky when Kat like put one in her ear as opposed to just wearing it.
Well, it does all those things you guys say, but also you can just put down +1 protection. Same as cloak or ring.
Those don't stack, do they?
Yes, they do.
Oh,
so is that a +1 to R's AC?
And saving throws, yes.
Oh, that is very nice.
So it does require attunement, though. So.
Well, we've been wearing them for a while now.
No, I'm just bringing it up for. I don't know I don't remember what other items you have, or if they require attunement. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I know the other brooch does.
Yes.
But if I can wear both brooches and they stack, then that should be fine.
Does that include death saves?
I don't think it does. I think it's just saving throws.
Okay.
Where's Jeremy Crawford when you need him?
Well, it's wonderful regardless. I'm gonna go. You guys probably hear that noise. I'm gonna go fix that. I will be right
back. Okay. So, with that, Fenris does offer to accompany you back to wherever you've come from. And
nice.
Yeah.
And he definitely says, perhaps we could recite poetry together or make music.
Oh, you know how I love music, and I'm like pulling out Now, I probably don't have my shield on me because we're at a fancy party, but I probably do have my violin stashed away somewhere. It's small enough to carry with you, quasi-conveniently.
And, he pulls out when you pull that out, he pulls out pan pipes.
I thought you might have some of those. I'm pretty fond of those.
I know it's kind of stereotypical for my people, but I really like them.
I mean, they're nice. It's woodwinds. They've got this nice hollow ringing sound. It's whimsical.
So, with that, when do you guys plan on heading out?
So, Deneen would fill you in about how Asindro says he's going to prepare for us this letter for Karshapathium.
Mm-hmm.
He says the party could go into the wee hours. He's hoping we'll stay for the end of the party. But he also said that Finilis, that you might know of a way that we could either get back to the edge of the Feywild, so to speak, or another way to get out of the Feywild more quickly.
There are many hidden ways, which I've spent a few centuries mastering. It does make traveling much easier and safer, so I would be more than happy to. In a few steps, we can be back to the Betwixt, and from there we can go back to your home plane.
Yeah, we came in through a tree named Gertrude.
So we did.
And through a tree named Gertrude shall we leave?
Well, we do need this information from Finilis. Or from Asindro. And we told him we would bring this message back.
We should at least wait until we get the letters, and possibly a little longer than that so we don't look like we're in a rush to leave. We don't want to slide him, but at the same time we do want to get back quickly. So let's try and suss out the most diplomatic time to skedaddle.
So,
and that vision that I mentioned earlier, he said don't mention that.
Oh.
So, Deneen, not to panic you or anything, but so let's say that we've been gone much longer for our home than time we've spent here, and we left the city when your parents were coming in. How likely, were Alarian's parents, how likely do you think it is that we head back and it's years later and they've taken over Gryphongaffe and have, your...
Before we get too deep into that. He said they have holdings elsewhere, not Gryphongaffe, and he thought they were going there.
He thought they were going there, but what if you're not there?
Well, what am I supposed to do?
I don't know.
I can't leave without the information that could help them.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I'd agree. I just had a thought. I thought I'd share.
Yeah, a terrifying thought. Thanks. Yeah, like I haven't already been wondering how long it's been, and thinking to myself, well, at least my kid's like more elf than human, and maybe she'll live long enough to still be there when I get back. I'm a little worried, yes, but I thanks.
You're wood elf, and Alarian is
He's half gold elf.
half gold elf. So that would make your daughter basically an elf.
Excellent. But still,
Statistically, mechanically.
You don't want time to fly to the point that they would. I mean, he knew we were going to the Feywild. It didn't occur to me that time might go crazy, but if he starts to worry, and it really has been a long time, maybe he'll figure that out.
So you guys actually spend a couple hours at the party when your host shows up and he has the letters for you.
Oh, thank you so much, Jacindro. I'm getting more and more worried, and she looks to Cath. I'm getting more and more worried about the passage of time, even though we really have enjoyed our stay.
I understand, and it is hard for us sometimes. We forget about the mortal world here, and the perils of traveling between the places, especially for the shorter-lived races.
We perhaps should have asked a little more when we first discussed it, but at the time we just needed rest. And your invitation was so generous.
Well, the barriers are just reestablishing in some places. Perhaps the flow of time will not be so tainted. But I do understand your concerns. But you always have a place where you're welcome here.
We appreciate that.
And if you ever find yourself in the Feywild again, just as long as you have those brooches, they will lead you back here if you need to.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you. You've been so generous with us, and I'm very grateful.
Well, you ladies have done a great service for this realm.
I want to pretend that we were just being philanthropists, but we had personal reasons.
We had personal reasons also.
Well, it is nice when when all the reasons can line up.
Indeed.
So with that, Finnelis is. I guess it is time for us to move on.
I suppose.
It's gonna be fine.
Janine smooths down her fancy dress just to make it change colors another couple of times.
So he leads you out of the city, and not too far before it's a silver oak. Clearly it's an oak tree, but it looks the bark actually looks like that of a birch, but slightly more silver, and there's a bit of a not a crack, but the way the tree has grown up and the way the roots have rooted, it looks like a crack where the tree is split. And he motions for you to follow him as he darts inside.
So this is Finnelis's shortcut?
It is.
All right. Well, since we may end up having to deal with the between again, I guess Janine would have changed back out of her party stuff for her usual travel equipment.
Yeah, I kind of assumed you guys would have went to adventuring garb.
Adventuring mode.
Yeah. Adventure time.
All right.
So you might have to dismiss Arun.
Really?
It's a little narrow crack in a tree.
Oh, well, I guess we'll find out if these things stick to him or not. And she gives him a pat on his face and a kiss on his nose and tell him that she'll call him back as soon as they're back in the plane where they belong.
So when you dismiss him, none of his jewelry falls.
Ooh.
Oh, I like that elf.
That is nice.
He was trying to
I gave
seduce you, a rock.
I gave him a tip, but maybe I should have given him a bigger tip.
Does his circlet stay as well?
Everything that was on him stays with him.
Oh, okay. He was trying to seduce my rock. What?
You know those elves. Anything goes.
I thought maybe, like, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, is Dave about to make my celestial steed, like, something else or someone else entirely? Like, all this time I thought he was just, like, a steed, and he's going to end up being some other kind of, like, creature or whatever, that this elf recognizes what it is. I didn't realize he was putting the moves on him.
I love the Feywild. What happens in the Feywild stays in the Feywild.
Yeah, and he found Arun's his true weakness, flattery.
Yeah,
It's true.
Flattery and bling.
Exactly.
He never stood a chance. So with that, you guys step out of another tree that's very similar to this one. It actually looks just like it. And in front of you, there's kind of you kind of see a mutedness to the scenery. It's still a forest, but it's just not quite as bright. And it's almost like someone just like drew a line. And so I understand you would have probably had to gone through some trials and tribulations to get here to the Feywild.
Yeah, well, some were more tribulation than others.
Well, don't worry.
There was this weird party with grabby ladies who had
was a
no
fun
idea
party,
about
but-
personal space.
They were just sweet on you.
Sounds like a wonderful party.
They might have been hags. Or hagnalogies.
Well, now, not everyone's a hag. But, not to worry. There are gates and things that would stop you from coming to the Feywild. But they'll let anyone into the prime material plane.
That's been my impression.
It's kind of like Jersey. It costs to get out, but anybody can come in.
I thought you said that the portals had been blocked.
They have, but I'm pretty sure things have not changed that much.
But we still have knowledge of one portal that we used to travel here through Gertrude. So
Yes.
if we can go back through there and he can get us there more quickly without having to face trials, that would be great.
Okay, yeah.
So as you guys are traveling through the wilderness, you see some scenery that looks vaguely familiar, and up ahead you see the enormous tree that you believe it looks like the other side of where you came out of, when all of a sudden things begin burrowing out of the fabric of reality itself. You see these holes kind of rip open in the air, and coming out of them is these creatures. They look like giant hermit crabs, except for all of their shelling has this like prismatic quality to it, where it's just like colors, just a riot of colors all over the place, and it kind of hurts your eyes to look at. And
Jeweled scintillating crabs.
yes, and they're actually bigger than what a rune would be.
Whoa.
And that's where we'll wrap up for tonight, and we'll start next week with you guys possibly rolling initiative. We'll have to wait and see.
Oh no.
Oh no.
So I want to thank everyone who's been watching, and I want to thank you guys for playing as always, and we'll be back next week. So until next time, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.